Hi, everybody. This is Davon Gray with Davon Gray Leadership. And today I wanted to continue our discussion that we had, and we were talking about anxiety. Today I want to talk about the next level, if you will, of anxiety, and that is fear. Fear is a word we all know. Anxiety, just to kind of go back, it's like that anxiousness. It's that moment when you're like, oh my gosh. And you start thinking in the moment and not thinking of the long term. But fear is paralyzing. Fear is something we all have to deal with. I've dealt with it in my life. I know you may have dealt with it in your life. And when you get news or something happens or something unexpected, that causes anxiety. But the fear is when you start to become paralyzed with things. And typically, you may think about it, is fear tends to show up when we've got to do something or say something that we think is going to maybe not be accepted and not be popular. And in our lives, and we come across that quite often. And, that word fear, it means yadar. It's a Hebrew word that comes into meaning that says, hey, it's the strong hand that has authority and leadership over you. It's the greater strength. And I wanted to refer to a couple of scriptures real quick, and that is 2 Timothy. It's verse 1 and 7, and it does talk about the idea of God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. And I want you to think about power, and then love, and then a sound mind. And then it's Matthew 10, and it's verses 27, 28 in there, and it begins to talk about the fact that do not fear man that can only kill the body, but fear the Lord, the greater strength, if you will, that can not only do that, but can, as it says, can also, kill the body, but throw that person and their soul and body into hell. And what he's referring to, what Jesus is referring to there, is giving the greater strength. What you should reverence, which you should use as the greatest authority in your life, is God. And we oftentimes don't do that when things happen and that fear comes upon. We give the fear the greater power. So it shouldn't surprise us that in 2 Timothy, Paul, talking to Timothy, says, look, God didn't give you a spirit of fear, a paralyzing thing that responds to life's actions or things that happen, but he gave us a spirit of power first. Power, what is power? Power is the ability to do something. So it kind of overcomes it. And of love, that talks about the emotion, our motives, our intentions, what we're trying to do and what God is doing in our lives. He always has as his motive is love. And then a sound mind, that should give us peace, that peace that, as we talk about passing understanding. Fear is a very paralyzing thing, as I mentioned before, in the sense that it has the long-term effects to stop us from our purpose, from speaking truth, from doing that thing that you know you want to do, starting that business, beginning that venture, and beginning the things that are really not just that venture, but the adventures that we have in life, the adventures that are in our lives that make us who we are. Our identity is around power, it is around love, and it is around a sound mind. I think that's so important to us. And I can remember a time when I was at a job that I had where I needed to do something, not for me, but the people who I was leading at that time, and to speak up on their behalf. And for a while, there was a lot of fear about it. There was a lot of anxiousness about it. And I couldn't understand why I didn't want to do it. And one day I was praying about it at work. And I always believe leaders should pray. If you're going to lead other people, then somebody should be leading you. And that particular day, I prayed about it, and God revealed some things to me. He said, in my spirit, when I was writing and thinking about this, is that you have a spirit of fear that's been on you for a large part of your life. And every time you try to do a little something here and there, it shows up. And that fear is what paralyzes you, stops you from moving forward. You need to depend on me to overcome that. So he says in 2 Timothy, God did not give you a spirit of fear, but he did give you something to overcome the fear, the power, the love, and the sound mind. So what did I think about during that time? Power. I have to take action. And it's just the first step. It's not all the steps. It's the first step. You need to confront the bully of fear. You need to confront that bully and show him that he's not boss in your life. And the way you do it is by taking one step, just one. But once you take that one step, you have to know your motive for why you're doing it. Love. It's love that you know that God has for you. So he's not going to put you in that position where you're going to fail, but you're going to succeed because you tried. And not only that, but then the last part, it should give you peace. How do we overcome fear? It's a triple threat option, if you will. It is the power, it is the love, but then that last part, the peace of mind, the sound mind. You have control. Remember, anxiety is when you feel out of control. But when you have that spirit, the Holy Spirit in you, it is power, love. And the last part is the sound mind. The sound mind is so important to our lives. Because when we do those three things, we can begin to believe that we're supposed to be doing the things that we're doing in our lives, the business, the effort, the trying. I remember a long time ago running, and I was in the military, just gotten in the military, and I just started running, and I had this pain in my chest, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And I looked over at the sergeant that was there with me, and he said, actually it was a major, and he looked over at me and he said, all that is that you're getting ready to have your second win. You're getting to that point of second win. And it's painful. He said, but you keep running. Because if you keep running, you're going to break through it, and you're going to have that burst of wind where you feel like you're running effortlessly. And that's how we have to confront the bully of fear. You got to get to the place where you know in your gut. And by the way, that word fear, yadar, is referring to a gut feeling also. It's the gut. And you usually, when you have real fear, it's in your gut. When you feel, I can't do this, I shouldn't do this. What if I do this? If I do this, how are people going to look at me? How will I look if I fail? All those questions that come up in your mind, those are the bullies that like to come up and push you around and stop you from going past to get to your second win. But I can tell you, when I got to the second win, it felt a whole lot better. I felt like I could do it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you overcome it. So I just wanted to share that with you today for a couple minutes. We all have to overcome our anxiety, that moment, but then the fear, that is the paralyzing part that tries to keep us from being us. Your identity is wrapped up in the power, the love, and the sound mind that overcomes the fear, that shows up to the bully, that says, don't you show up, because if you show up, I'll beat you up. You got to show up for that every day, all day. And you get to the point where it becomes a habit. If you do that, I believe that you'll be able to overcome a lot of the fears that are in our lives. Again, this is Davon Gray with Davon Gray Leadership. If you like what we had to say here, or that I had to say to you today, please follow, like, or comment on this post. I'd love to hear from you, but I'd also like to continue to talk and keep that dialogue going. So the comments are always important to me. So thanks so much. I look forward to talking to you again soon.